Going on? I'm Marcus, DFD, the Debt Free Dad. I'm an attorney with a lot of years, over a decade worth of experience. If you're new to the channel, over here we talk finances, attorney reactions, and current events. I thought this video was dope because it involves something that if you're watching this channel, you may be interested in or you probably heard about. And hey, since one of my favorite YouTubers did a video talking about it, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead, jump in, check it out, see what's going on, and give my take and topics on this topic. Now, I always got to give the disclaimer, okay? I'm a licensed attorney. I'm licensed in several jurisdictions. I don't care where that jurisdiction is. It doesn't amount to me being your attorney. So if you're looking for legal or financial advice, seek a professional in your area. But a little bit of my background when we talk about fraud, white collar crime, that's kind of your that's kind of your boy area of expertise. Uh, just the background on how I got there. I was a tax geek in law school, started doing defense work. Nobody wanted to really touch the white collar criminal cases. So they said, yo, let's give them to the tax geek. So they gave them to me. I kind of carved out a niche in financial crimes, fraud, embezzlement, you name it. I represented guys in that arena. I flipped that around and kind of got on the other side, the investigation, prosecutions. So we're talking about pharmaceutical companies, doctors, um, banks, financial institutions, you name it. That's kind of the area I worked in. That's kind of my area of expertise. Now, before we even dive in and go to the videos, there's some good things that happen when people commit fraud. Okay. I know generally 99.9% of the things that happen when people commit fraud are terrible or bad. People don't get their money back. I've always said, man, I'd rather somebody break in my house or be a victim of a robbery because that's just losing things at a point specific moment in time. But when you fall for a white collar fraud with the power of the pen, that damages you for generations. Somebody breaking your house, if you got insurance, you probably can get your stuff back. It's not that big of a deal. But if somebody gets you with the pen on the finesse side of the game, that's something that can damage your finances and your family's finances for generations. But one of the good things that often happen when fraud occurs is awareness. It creates a certain sense of awareness amongst people, amongst a community who may not have known of this particular kind of fraud or the individuals committing the fraud. Prime example, this whole thing with Cesar Pina, DJ Envy, allegedly having or may having some criminal exposure. The good thing from it is now that it's out there, people are aware of it. So people are like, real estate investment, let me do my due diligence. And I'm probably going to do a video, top 10 things to do when you hear about an investment to make sure you aren't getting finessed, right? So we know the DJ Envy, the Cesar Pina situation, long story short, real estate Ponzi scheme, taking in money purportedly to buy properties to invest in, rent out, weren't doing that. We're using it for personal gain. A lot of lawsuits flew, a lot of civil lawsuits. Then what happened? A criminal indictment. Cesar Pina got arrested. It is what it is. It was one count of wire fraud that carries a maximum of sentence of 20 years and a fine of up to $250,000 or twice the actual loss amount or the amount of ill-gotten gains, so to speak. But that gave everybody a lot of exposure on real estate finesse. Now, let's rewind it back a little bit and talk about the godfather of the godfather of the urban social media real estate fund. All right, this is Jay Morrison. Now, I don't know if y'all know who Jay Morrison is, but Jay Morrison is, they got a lot of, Jay Morrison may have been the first one to really jump out there in this social media era. But it was a lot of people who were using or, talking big about their prison to property, from prison to felon, to from felon to prison to property manager to investor pipeline. So Jay Morrison was one of the first people to kind of go on that avenue. He was the grandfather of it, of a social media buzz. I don't know if y'all remember the clip, but you can Google it. It was Jay Morrison in a limo or Bentley or something, just screaming at the camera, "Wake up!" Then he proceeded to talk about investments for 9 minutes or something to that effect. But Jay Morrison was the godfather of social media influencer, really kind of carving that path to start a investment fund with a relatively large social media following, especially in my opinion, I think within the black community. Now, it's funny because I know when you Google somebody, when you YouTube somebody, the first thing that pops up isn't necessarily the most accurate thing. That's not how the algorithm work. Okay, most times, whatever the worst thing is about you, that's going to be first. You can do one bad thing and 65 good things. That bad thing is going to always lead. That's just kind of how it is, because people generally like to read and hear about bad news and that good news. But it's interesting. I just went on and was like, let's just do a search of Jay Morrison just to see, what pops up. I'll tell you, you can see everything that's popping up on Jay Morrison, and pretty much all of it is bad. You got Boyce Watkins, who made a comment about the Tulsa real estate fund that Boyce Watkins endorsed, which ended up being and I'm not going to call the Tulsa real estate fund a scam, but I will say that it is unprofitable as hell. Okay. There's no criminal charges out there against Jay Morrison related to the Tulsa real estate fund, but you can see Tulsa Real Estate Fund, SEC. I mean, you just see everybody and their mother is making videos. Everybody and their mother is making videos about this. Long story short of what is going on or what happened with Jay Morrison is essentially he created this Tulsa Real Estate Fund. It was an investment fund. It was really focused, around Tulsa, Black Wall Street, hence the name. It was really geared towards getting investment. That was the thing that he was preaching. Hey, us black folks, we got to do this. Tulsa, the Black Wall Street thing. So he kind of tied all of that stuff in. At its peak, I believe they raised about $12 million in investor funds. And as of late, they have about 750 to $500,000 in this fund. So all of that capital is just kind of gone and is exhausted. People didn't get back investments. So it got real crazy real quick. There's a lot of YouTubers out there who are doing deep dives on this. So definitely check it out. You got Spencer Cornelia, Pocket Watching with JT. Everybody has really dove in. They're bringing out the facts. They're bringing out the documents. Generally, I always say rule number one: if there's any investment that's focusing on a particular sect of people, black people, brown people, Hispanic people, Catholics, Christians, whatever it is, that's probably a red flag because money doesn't discriminate. Okay. If you got a really dope investment, if someone's making money, they don't care where they pull that money from. But in short, that's Jay Morrison. That's his background: prison, social media, self-proclaimed real estate mogul, started the Tulsa Real Estate Fund based off of the black speak, and we should do this as black people. Raised about 12 million in capital. Now they got less than $1 million, and everybody looking like, where the hell is their money at? Those are the facts. No criminal allegations, but that's just kind of what it is. Now let's turn the page to talk about somebody who I actually think has good finance content. Because it's definitely not Jay Morrison. Okay, let's turn the page. Richard Fain. Now, I started my channel in 2020 and I started memorializing my debt-free journey. We was paying off cars and credit cards and all of this crazy stuff. And one of the things that everyone has to do when you're going to go into a space, you have to take a look at the environment or the ecosystem. That's essentially what they call it in corporate America. If I wanted to put a product out or I wanted to go into an arena, I got to look at the ecosystem and see what's going on in that space. I got to find out who the players are, who's doing what, who's making moves, what kind of things are they doing, what can I do different. You got to do all of that research. You could call it opposition research, opposition competition. You got to do all of that research in the ecosystem, in a ecosystem. So I essentially was just kind of diving into, you know, black finance content creators. And one of the persons I came across was Richard Fain, okay? Older brother, I think he's in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. I think his background, don't quote me on this, and we're going to check out a video of his, a clip from a video of his, but I believe his background is ex NFL athlete, went into the finance sector, did couple of decades in the finance sector, and now he's out and he makes finance content. He has his own investment firm where he invests money for his clients. And credit to him, every video, I don't think I ever seen a video of his where he said, "Hey, I don't invest the money, I don't invest money from my subscribers," which is, I mean, hey, legally, I think that's a smart ass thing to do and a smart position to take. So let's talk about the what Richard wants to do and what the Jay Morrison Cesar Pina effect is. Like I said at the beginning of this video, essentially finessing somebody, white collar crime is terrible. But one thing it does is create awareness in the space, create awareness amongst a group of people who may not have been savvy or may not have known of that particular scheme, scam, finesse, play, whatever the hell you want to call it is. So I want to play this video. We're going to dive into it. Like I said, I don't want nobody to say that, yo, DFD is coming for Richard Fame. Like I said, I shouted him out on several videos because I think that he gives good advice. I think that he gives practical advice when it comes to how to make sure you have a good financial foundation. And I got a really easy litmus test for finance content creators. Okay. I find somebody I like. I'm like, okay, I like what they're talking about. And as I listen to their content, because I don't just want to make finance content, I like listening to it because I like finance. I like money. I like learning how to make my money grow and all of that good stuff. But I have a really low bar for when I'm going to say, you know what, I'm unsubscribing from this shit. Essentially, and it happens actually quite often. Me being an attorney, being a former criminal defense attorney, being on the prosecution investigation side, I don't know a lot of things, but I know what a crime is, okay? And because I know what a crime is, if I'm listening to any finance YouTuber and they give what they purport to be advice, and that advice is something that I've either defended somebody on, prosecuted or investigated somebody on, I'm immediately unsubscribing from that channel. And one thing I can say about Richard Fain is he gives good advice, is very practical, and in my 3 years that I've been listening to his content, I've never heard him say anything that was illegal, that wasn't above board. And, you know, hey, we got to give a round of applause for that because there's a lot of self proclaimed professionals out here on YouTube giving just random advice that's mad sus and probably going to land you in the big house or the pen or get you some exposure. But his content is good. He used to show all the flashy cars and everything. But let's take a look at one, how fraud impacts the entire ecosystem of what someone wants to do. Let's go and pull up this video so we can get a quick uh look at my guy Richard Fain, what he's trying to do, and why he's running into some bumps and bruises, just in the ecosystem that we in, and why you got to be aware of what's going on around you before you dive into something. I think that's just a good thing to do. Trust me, when I do something, I obsess over it. I research it and research it and research it to death. I want to start this channel. Black YouTubers, black finance YouTuber, black veterans who YouTube, black veterans who are attorneys who YouTube about finances. I was looking at all sorts of crazy stuff, but that's how I found out who was what was going on in the industry. Let me see. All right, let's look at this short real quick. This is going to give a good breakdown to Jay Morrison and the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. Then we'll jump to the clip of Richard Fain and what he's trying to do and how the mistakes of other people is kicking my guy in the ass. He can still get around it, but yo, these are the effects of when shenanigans go on in the investment black community and it's proliferated on social media. You see, I got tongue tied there for a minute.
Black people. Uncomfortable conversation video. This video is going to be on the fall of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. I'm going to give you a snapshot of where the fund is today, what I thought about the fund from the onset. The Tulsa Real Estate Fund got established. They raised up to $11.5 million, all investor cash, completely in the bank. As of a few days ago, Jay Morrison said they have less than $500,000 in the bank. Wow. And what's sad about it is they were in a position to tell all the naysayers go F themselves. You know how? Because they had that $11.5 million before the pandemic. What did the pandemic do? A lot of different things, a lot of sad things. But one of the things it did was it made the real estate market crash. So what did they do? Did they capitalize off of that? No. They wanted to buy the block. They didn't buy the block. They bled the block dry in uncomfortable conversation.
All right, shout out to the Black News Network, but that's kind of where it is right now. You got this fund, raised all this capital, and let's just be honest. Like, you know, I don't want I don't want to beat a dead horse, so to speak. But yo, if you had $11.5 million pre-pandemic, right, in 2019, let's say mid 2019, right, the pandemic rolled around. That was the prime opportunity to make money. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, like, yo, when the pandemic happened, that was my my net worth increased more than any 1 year prior during the year of the pandemic. Everybody thought everything was going to collapse. It went down for a minute, but yo, I always tell you, Washington ain't gonna let the stock market go down. They're gonna do whatever they got to do to prop it up. So presumably somebody could have put that $11.5 million into a ETF to track the S&P 500, and they would have made money. They would be up right now. They would be up right now. So it's really hard. And I've actually sold a rental property during the pandemic. I probably linked the video, but it was called Selling in a Seller's Market. I had a rental property that I sold. I mean, I'm talking about when everything was at its peak. So it was prime opportunity to profit. So and I'm not a real estate expert. I stumbled my way into real estate. You know how I bought a place. I was like, I'm moving. I don't want to get rid of it. I got a new job, making more money. I could afford that mortgage until I got a tenant in there. Lo and behold, DFD entered into the realm of being a real estate investor. I had a property there, and I got another one, and that's just kind of how it ended up playing itself out. Now, let's take a look and see what's going on with Richard Fain and how the shenanigans or the tomfoolery of Jay Morrison and his fund that's losing a lot of money, and this whole thing with Cesar Pina being arrested with regard to real estate fraud is coming back to hit Richard Fain. Kind of blindside him apparently because he had no clue who this guy was or what was going on. So let's go ahead and take a look at this clip. Again, I know y'all YouTube guys out there in the ecosphere that everybody liked it, but it's not a beef thing. Like I said, Richard is probably one of my favorite finance content creators that I've been subscribed to for about 3 years now. Again, never heard him say anything illegal, and he gives generally good advice that's practical that everybody can do to better their financial situation. Let's take a look and see what he's talking about.
We're gonna get into some discussion today about the real estate fund that I'm getting ready to create. I know some of you know this already because I've done several videos walking you guys through why I decided to create this real estate fund and exactly what I hope to accomplish by creating and starting this real estate fund. But in those videos, I've gotten some feedback from a lot of you guys, and it hasn't been positive feedback. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this live stream video today, to try to clear up a few things. I was getting some comments around the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. I believe the gentleman who started that real estate fund, his name is Jay Morrison. Now, I don't know this gentleman, but I've done some research since I've been getting these comment section of the videos on my Instagram page, people comparing, hey, we got another Tulsa real estate fund getting ready to start up. And I'm thinking to myself, why are people comparing me to someone else? As I started doing a little research, diving into who Jay Morrison is and the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, I kind of started putting two and two together, connecting the dots. Now, again, I don't know Jay Morrison. I don't know anything about his real estate fund other than what I've read online. And everything online is not positive. So let's just start there. I'm not coming at this guy. I'm not coming at his fund. All the allegations,
his fund is trash, though,
that I'm going to discuss with you guys today are out there online. I mean, people are saying some not good things about this fund and how investors feel about Mr. Morrison. And I assume some of those people who saw my video about me starting my own real estate fund may have been investors in his real estate fund. I don't know. That's the only thing I can try to connect the dots, is maybe these people were burned. Maybe they wasn't burned. I don't know. Again, guys, these are all allegations. I don't know any of this to be fact. All I know is what I've read online. And my purpose here is not to bash him. The purpose of what I'm doing today is to make you guys aware who I am, and I have no intention of misleading anybody. I have no intention of taking investors' money and not doing what I said I would do. Once again, I'm not saying this gentleman didn't do what he said he was going to do. I'm just telling you what I am going to do and what I'm not going to do. And I just want to make sure I separate anybody out there that's thinking my real estate fund, which is going to be called Prime Real Estate Fund, has anything to do with Tulsa Real Estate Fund. It doesn't. The only correlation I could put together was we are both black men. I don't know if people think all black men have bad intentions when they.
All right, let's take a pause real quick right here and talk about it. So we see what's going on. We got this environment with real estate funds right now are looked at as mad sketch in the urban black community or social media. And let's just keep it a buck. Hey, rightfully so. There's been a lot of stuff going on. People have been getting finessed, losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Rightfully so. All right. Now we got this YouTuber who is a finance guy. Okay. This isn't comparing him to Jay Morrison. It's just saying that, when you start something, you have to know the ecosystem that you're going to dive in to do something. We know that you're different. We know that one person was a self-proclaimed finance guy. The other person actually has formalized financial training and years of experience in the financial arena. Two different things, but you got to know, you got to know the environment that you're going to go operate in. Like I said, it would be the equivalent of, you think a high school basketball player who's a top 2 basketball player in this state doesn't know who the top one player in the state was 1 year ago, the year before him, 2 years before him. I mean, you have to know who the people are in the arena and the environment that you're trying to operate in. That's just common research. I think that's a basic fundamental thing. So to Richard's point, I don't think it's because, hey, I don't know why people comparing me to Jay Morrison because we're both black. Nah, it's not because y'all both black, okay? Well, as one of my boys said, that's probably 25% of it, okay? The other part of it is that you both have huge, large social media followings. And because there's been this commonality going around of people using social media as a funnel to get in victims so that they can make either bad investments or investments that are actually criminal. You're swimming in that water. You're a black guy who's starting a real estate fund and you have a huge social media following. Right now is the absolute worst climate to come out. I mean, hey, it's good to start an investment and business whenever, but the climate right now is one where people who are in the know, your subscribers who subscribe to you and watching your videos, you know what else videos they watching? All those other damn videos I put up there that showed scammer Jay Morrison, that showed him 500, that showed Cesar Pina, that showing Joe Button telling DJ Envy is a Ponzi scheme and he going to prison. They all watching that stuff. So when you come out and say, yo, I'm going to start a real estate fund, no matter your intentions or experience, because the environment is so tainted, because a lot of people been getting their heads knocked off, everybody's going to automatically just kind of look at you sketch. That's just point number one. So the research that you did on the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, that type of stuff has to be front loaded. And I know you probably a lot of people going to think, well, why would he look up Jay Morrison? You don't got to look up Jay Morrison. Nobody cares about Jay Morrison. But some of the things I would look up, and this is not learning your ecosystem is something that I was taught in a leadership class that I took at a college that was on a dime when for senior executives in government. All right, it was like a 6-month long program. But before you do anything, you got to know the environment. You got to know who doing jacked up stuff in that ecosystem. You got to know who doing good things in that ecosystem. One, so you can be prepared, so you can have all the rebuttals, but more importantly, so you don't get blindsided. So I wouldn't expect someone like Richard to be like, well, let me look up specifically Jay Morrison. But because he has a large social media following, one of the things that would have been dope is, or smart for him to do, would be, okay, let me do a search to see what people who have large social media followings have started investment funds, have started real estate funds, just to kind of see what's out there. Again, people are going to throw those comparisons out there because I mean, like me personally, I would take that video down because I just think it's a bad look, even though this environment is probably the worst environment to actually start that type of fund. Start your fund when you want to start your fund, but I just don't even think it was worth it to address because y'all are two different people. The facts are the facts. Let's go and finish checking out what my guy Richard is talking about, and we're gonna talk about it a little bit more.
When it comes to investing people's money, I don't know. I have no idea. But that's the only connect the dot I could put together, right? Because there are a lot of people out there with real estate funds.
But it's not a lot
Why
of
didn't they
people with
compare me
huge
to
social
some of
media
those people
followers
who have
that use
quote
their
unquote good real estate funds that perform and investors are happy? Why not compare me to one of those real estate funds? Why would you compare
It's
me
some
to a
out
real
there.
estate fund allegedly has not performed well?
That's not alleged.
I
That's
don't
a
know.
fact.
But for those of you that don't know, this Jay Morrison guy and the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, I know I have a hard time pronouncing Tulsa. Okay, I have a hard time pronouncing that. But
That's funny to me. Like I'm sure Richard is older than me, like you should know how to pronounce Tulsa. Like, bro, that's like, oh, I thought like all older black people knew how to pronounce knew how to pronounce Tulsa. Like, you're in the finance space, and you got to be familiar with people who are players in the finance space, whether it's good or bad. And Tulsa, I don't know. He older. He should know all about Tulsa, Oklahoma, and all of that stuff.
But you know what I mean. I'm just gonna call it the real estate fund. So out online, if you go online, there's quite a bit of stuff. So, and this comes from 8fi. I think that's how you call it. That's how you pronounce it. Some online app that obviously puts out stories about certain things, and that's where I get this from. Again, guys, these are all allegations. I'm not saying any of it is real. I'm not here to attack the gentleman. I just want you to know and be aware of what's out there, so then I can walk you through exactly what I'm going to be doing. What are the investors demanding from the Tulsa Real Estate Fund? Investors are demanding evidence, transparency, and accountability for the fund,
I'm
including
not gonna go.
ceasing operations,
I'm not gonna dive super
liquidating
deep into
assets.
this. The meat and potatoes of what's going on here is, I mean, you got a guy, like I said, who I think is a good finance content creator. I've never heard him say anything that would perk up my attorney ears as being illegal or giving advice that would seem sketch. And he does have an actual finance background with, I think, 2 or more decades of experience in the finance arena. But not knowing the environment and the climate of what's going on, this is like this is like the worst time for a person with a large social media following to start a fund. Not saying that you shouldn't start it, because you got to start your business. That's when you strike while the iron is hot. But you got to know what's going on in the ecosystem, and you got to also understand that when people out there do jacked up stuff, what does it do? It jacks up the environment. Everybody else is looking at everything sketched now. Everybody else, I guarantee you that the minute anybody goes on social media, TikTok, and they talk about investing in real estate, everybody immediately is going to give them the side eye. So I thought that was interesting. Yo, I want his real estate fund to do well. Like I said, he's always been someone who's been transparent. And one of the things, in addition to me never hearing him give advice that was illegal, one of the things that I really respect, that I know not all finance YouTubers do, I give Richard props for expressly saying that he doesn't invest the money of his subscribers, because it can create an inherent conflict of interest. And to avoid any issues, hey, you put that out there, say, yo, this is my channel, but I also have this fund. But to make sure everything is on the up and up, I'm not even taking y'all money if y'all want to reach out to me to invest. So I think that's definitely a good thing. And legally, a lot of times you have to disclose when you have those types of conflicts. If I'm an attorney and I'm representing someone who came into my office because they were in a hit and run and one of the passengers died, and I said, hey, go to this funeral home, and I'm the owner of the funeral home, that's sketch. I have a legal obligation to disclose that I have a financial interest in that funeral home, so that person can actually make a choice on if they want to utilize my funeral home, even though they know there could be an inherent conflict there. So he's definitely on the up and up on the disclosures. But yo, this whole just market of social media and self-proclaimed experts is getting ridiculous, okay? And I think I wouldn't be shocked, because one of the things I thought about is, yo, how can we stop these scams from happening? That's in addition to representing scammers at one point and then going after scammers and crooks at one point. One of the other things I do is look at programs and evaluate those programs and help develop processes to mitigate risk. So one of the things I was thinking of, I was like, yo, we got a lot of people flexing on social media, wearing gold chains, saying from prison to property, pipeline, and everything. How can we protect investors, right? how can we protect investors, and by protecting investors, make sure that we can assume people aren't getting finessed, but make sure people who saying that they're going to do these things with this money is actually doing it. And one of the things, like, you rarely see it happens. Sometimes you hear a story of someone being in prison and they become an attorney and they start practicing. Those stories happen, but it happens very, very uh, few and far between. One, because depending on what you were in prison for, you can pass the law school test, you can graduate law school with honors, you can pass the bar, but you have to go through a fitness committee to make sure that you are have the integrity and the moral character to serve as an attorney, because an attorney creates a fiduciary relationship. If y'all ever came to DFD and asked me for any advice, I have a legal obligation to make sure I'm operating in the best interest of my client, right? Like, I can remember doing criminal defense work. I would work out a deal for somebody. It would be a sweetheart deal too. Like, man, this is a great deal. And guys would be like, this is how crazy people are. I work out a great deal, right? But I'm saying this to explain your obligations as a fiduciary. You have an obligation to act in the best interest of your client, where non-professionals have an obligation to act in their own self-interest. There's no obligation there to act in the best interest of their client. I once had a client, I mean, he had crazy charges. I worked out a sweetheart deal where he wouldn't even have to go to prison. He would just do something like 9 months or something. It was jail time as opposed to prison. And I, have to communicate, yo, this is what I got worked out. Yo, you was looking at years, bro. You was looking at years. Now you talking about some months. He did not want to stay in the local jail. He was like, man, this local jail suck. I would rather go to prison. Like, this was his logic. I would rather go to prison because they got better food and I'm out my cell more. So he instructed me. He was like, I don't want to take this deal for whatever, 6 months, right? I want I want at least 12 months so I can move out of this local prison and go a local jail and go to prison. And I was like, bro, you want me to go back and say, no, we don't want to take this deal for 6 months. He wants to take a deal for 12 months and a day so you could go to prison. That's crazy as hell. That's outside of the interest of my client. So as a fiduciary, one, I had to tell him that he's crazy but for wanting to do that. But two, I actually had to draft a document that and have him sign it to protect myself, because you know what'll happen. He after sitting in jail for that seventh month when he could have been home at six, he gonna be like, my lawyer never told me. So I had to literally draft a document, have him sign it, and essentially the document was like, I am turning down this deal for 6 month sentence that my attorney got me in exchange for a longer sentence that will allow me to go to prison because I don't like the local jail that I would have been at. And I made him sign that to cover my ass. But I have an obligation to my client. I have an obligation to do what's in the best interest. And if he wanted me to do some goofy shit like that, I actually had to have him sign something to protect myself, because that's acting outside of the scope of my fiduciary duty. So I was thinking, yo, how can we stop all these scammers and everybody? Social media is a What's going on? Thanks for the comment. Social L Ivy. Social media is a cesspool of unqualified experts in every area, from finance to relationships, with no formal training or regulation. I 100% agree. That's why I always start all my videos out by saying I'm a licensed attorney, but this isn't legal or financial advice. Because I really just explain concepts and I let people know what I'm doing. But I actually came up with an idea on how to stop this pattern of in the finance space. As far as the people giving bad relationship advice, y'all just goofy as hell for making well, not y'all, but some people just goofy as hell for making Will and Jada and Jeezy and whatever her name was like relationship goals. Like, like you make people are people. That's a whole nother thing. I can't solve the relationship problem, but when it comes to investing, one, real estate is the easiest thing to invest in because it doesn't have a lot of criteria for you to become an investor, for you to open up an investment fund. That's point number one. So, one of the things that I thought about that could easily put an end to this stuff. If you should have what's a real estate investor and a qualified real estate investor. Well, what would be the difference and how would I classify it? Well, I would classify myself as a real estate investor. I have under 5 properties, um, and it would probably be based on the amount of properties you have, the total value of the properties that you have, and the amount of revenue generated. But what you would do to end it is have a classification of a real estate investor, a qualified real estate investor. If you got 5 properties or less, your properties are valued at whatever this set threshold is, you'll qualify as a general real estate investor. Now, what would happen once I get property number 6? Once I get property number 6, I actually have a certain amount of time to comply with certain requirements to make me a qualified real estate investor. That could be formalized training, that could be obtaining some type of state licensure, that can be a variety of things. But if that was to be done, that would put an end to that shit so fast. You would see all these people on social media who proclaiming themselves to be real estate experts. Man, that jump would dry up so quick because a lot of people aren't going to want to do the formalized training to do it. But I think, and if they actually do the formalized training and then they finesse somebody and don't invest the money as they were supposed to because they have that fiduciary obligation, they clearly have civil liability. Hey, they'll be real easy to show criminal exposure because they have the knowledge. Intent is, you're doing something on purpose, but a lot of that is you actually have the knowledge to finesse the system. If you got the knowledge, you should have known better. You knew that you couldn't do this. Now we already established criminal intent, and your ass is going to jail. So I think that's a smart way to do it. I'm actually shocked they don't have classifications as it relates to real estate investors already, because the government loved to classify shit. Like back in the 80s, if you wanted to be a barber, you could just cut hair. And then at some point, they was like, nope, you need to get a license and you need to get a certification. And you have to update your license and your certification every 2 or 3 years. Like the government can figure out a way to finesse some money out of it and put some integrity into a profession or a particular area. And I think that would be a smart way to do it. You have a real estate investor, 5 or less properties, a qualified real estate investor. Then you have someone who's doing commercial real estate. You give them some type of separate and different classification. So I thought it was a dope topic to look at. It's going to be interesting to see how Rich's real estate fund is going to go out. Hey, I wish him the best of luck, but bro, this is a hard climate to start a real estate fund in for a black guy who has a large social media following. So you got to know your environment that you're in. Hey, it is what it is. Yo, y'all tune in tomorrow. We're going to talk about I'm not going to say one of my favorite businessmen, but he'll always give you a sound bite. We're going to talk about Dame Dash. Dame Dash recently said in an interview that he's broke. Dame Dash broke. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about wealthy broke and broke. Wealthy broke and broke. Is there a different? I don't know. Let's see. People are willing to take courses from expert with no receipt, but won't take courses at a local community college for real estate for real certification. And yo, the crazy thing about that, Avi, is like I look at the prices of some of these courses, like social proof. I can't think of the guy who runs that channel. Damn, what's his name? But it was a guy who was on social proof and he called himself the mortgage eliminator. And I think JT did a video on this guy, or he may have talked about it briefly. But this guy called himself the mortgage eliminator, and he was on there telling everybody that he can get you out of a mortgage where you won't have to make a payment, but you can keep your house. Like that don't even make sense. Like, why would people sign up for that? But of course, the guy on social proof is giving them game on how to monetize it and create these courses. This guy created a course, and this course was something crazy like $20,000. It's people paying $20,000 to get 20, 10 thousands of dollars to get investment advice from people who has no series license to do investments, who, has like, even like, I don't know, like, even like, I generally tell everybody, don't take advice from nobody on YouTube, even me and shit. I've been practicing law for almost 14 years now. I tell everybody, don't take advice from anybody on YouTube, because people don't do their research. It's generally a bad thing to do. You use it as a tool to do research, but people are just David Shands, that's his name. But yeah, this I mean, like, I've seen I've seen so many people on social proof give advice that was illegal. I got a couple of videos on him 500 who gave illegal advice on EYL. I think it was another sister on social proof who gave terrible advice. This sister on social proof, I can't even recall her name, but I think I did a video on her. But she essentially said, if you have student loan debt, you can start a business, get business credit to use that business credit to pay off your student loan. And then if the business goes bankrupt, your personal student loan is gone. And I was like, what? Like, yo, that's crazy, because one, that's fraud, but two, you open yourself up to exposure by a legal concept called piercing the corporate veil. Generally, if I start a business, if I create an LLC and my LLC sucks ass and it's losing a lot of money, or I go out and do something that causes somebody to lose his money or injure them, if my company gets sued, they can only take what my corporation had. They can't take my personal stuff, because it's a corporate veil. There's a wall between my personal stuff and my corporate stuff, and you can't pierce that corporate veil. But with a concept called piercing the corporate veil, when they can bypass your corporate stuff and reach into your personal stuff, when there's fraud, when there's commingling of business funds and personal funds. So people just generally give terrible ass advice. And the funny thing is, a lot of these guys just aren't going to get prosecuted, because I'm gonna just be honest. Like, okay, let's assume that a fraudster on social media with a gold chain and platinum and was throwing money everywhere and getting BBLs committed $5 million of fraud. $5 million probably not even worthwhile for, I know, federal law enforcement to actually look at and prosecute. Because, like, in order for the feds to take a look at a case, not all the time, but like 90% of the time, it has to be a dollar value that makes it make sense. If you got, I mean, let's just think, one investigative team, man, that's probably $700,000. Now that I'm thinking about it, one investigative team that's going to be an attorney, an auditor, and two agents. Attorney, auditor, and two agents. Four people, right? So you got four, maybe one support staff. But let's say attorney, auditor, and two agents. Couple $100,000, 150,000, 150,000, 150,000. That's 300,000, 500,000, 650. You could spend $650,000 a year, just in 1 year, on salary alone for the people who are just working that investigation. We're not counting the travel they got to do to conduct interviews, the cost of surveillance, all of those other things, the cost of depositions, the cost to either fly witnesses out or go visit those witnesses. We're just talking about the salaries of the people. Can range somewhere between 650,000 to $1 million a year for actual investigative team to investigate something. And think about it. Your average federal crime has what? A 5-year statute of limitations. So just think about it. If you had 5 people doing an investigation into a fraudster for 4 years, $650,000 in salary a year, it just wouldn't make it lucrative. Now they will go after those lower dollar investigations, but like I said, a lot of that times those are just to kind of make an example. I know I had a case where I went, I would never touch a case. It was $2,500. I don't give it. $2,500 is like 10 minutes worth of work. It's like 10 minutes worth of work, but it was a home health aid company where they send, people who are elderly and sick. They supposed to send home health aides out to help these people, and they weren't doing their job. So, and then they were fudging the books, and it was only like they fudged the books for $2,500. But I was like, you know what? Sometimes you gotta prosecute small stuff to keep everybody honest and let the other criminals know, like, yo, we still got to eye on you. Just because you do something that's small, don't think we ain't coming for you. You know what I mean? $2,500. We ended up prosecuting that case, and it actually had a good impact because after we prosecuted that case, which was easy as hell to prosecute, the next week, when all of the other home health aides companies were passing out paychecks to all of their employees, they had a copy of the press release where the home health aide got prosecuted for $2,500 attached to their actual like pay statement and their check. So everybody who got it, they looked and was like, "Oh, damn! They prosecuted somebody for $2,500 for fudging their hours for home health aid services." So I mean, sometimes they'll go after those small things, but most times they won't. And like I said in another video, I did a video on like top 10 reasons why a lot of these social media scammers won't get prosecuted. A lot of times, like people don't really like to tell, man. Like, especially if it's like a Jay Morrison type of thing, because Jay Morrison would have people investing as little as like $1,000 or $2,000, and if you got a billion people who lost $500, $1,000, they more likely to be quiet. Now, Caesar, he had people investing 350,000 the equity out of their house, their life savings and everything. So, hey, when you lose that much money, you're gonna complain. You don't give a damn how bad you look. But there are people out there who, when they get scammed, when they get finessed, they are reluctant to tell because they just don't want to feel like a goofy. You know what I mean? Who is Jay Morrison? He That dude didn't know, man. He an older black man, so he had no clue who Jay Morrison was. Like I said, man, it's like I don't know. It's like I don't know. You just gotta do your research, man. You don't know who Jay Morrison is, but yo, I definitely wish his fun the best. And I can tell you, hey, I never heard him say anything illegal, like I said. And I think he has. Correct me if I'm wrong, and y'all can double check me, but double check me on this. But I believe he has like 2 decades or 3 decades of experience as a finance professional. So that in and of itself would be a big plus compared to somebody like Jay Morrison. Like, I don't know. Anytime your investor say, I learned how to do this in prison, that's a red flag. Like, just think about it. Y'all ever see somebody who been to prison make ramen noodles? They do too much. Anybody, like, if you like, if watch a regular person eat ramen noodles, regular person, they gonna heat the shit up. They gonna put their little packet in there. They might they might put some cheese in there, or a little bit of egg or something. They might get a little fancy. But you ever see somebody from prison make ramen noodles? They put in like hot sauce, Doritos, nacho cheese, grapes, spam. They putting all these things in there that don't belong. So if so if somebody said, "Yo, I learned how to do real estate investment when I was in prison," you already know they're gonna do too much. All right, just like that guy who's doing too much to his damn ramen noodles, that's making it more bad for him than it already is. Somebody who learned how to invest in real estate in prison is gonna do too much, and it's probably gonna it's probably gonna make it more worse than what it actually should be in the long run. But yo, that's it for this video. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Keep y'all head on the swivel. I'm gonna do a video of the top 10 things you can do simple to avoid being scammed or finessed. That's it. Top 10 things you can do to avoid being scammed or finessed. And I'm gonna give y'all the number one thing on that list is don't be greedy. If somebody tell you you can get a 30% return in 3 months, every 3 months, that's 30%. That's over 100% return in 12 months. You need to run like hell. If somebody pro black, run like hell. If they pro anything, like, hey man, I'm only telling this to you because we brothers. We got to stick together. Like, real money don't discriminate. Okay, real money want money from black people, brown people, Asians, Indians, everybody. So if somebody mad like pro black, I'll tell you right now, that's a red flag. If it got a name or something pro black, This is the back to motherland. This is the Marcus B. Garvey exchange traded fund where we only invest in. I'm gonna be like, Marcus Garvey fund. I don't know. That's a little sketch, but I'm gonna come up with 10 things that you can do from your laptop with the use of Google to make sure you don't get finessed. But number one is just don't be greedy. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. You can put your money in the stock market, and I think I don't got the 16% I had about 3 months ago, but I think I still got like a 11 to 12% return this year. And I just put my money in a fund that tracks the S&P 500, and I'm content with that. I ain't trying to get like, one shot, like $30,000 on one transaction. I ain't doing that because I got bad luck. And I prosecuted and represented so many scammers. I typically think everybody is scammer, so I never trust anybody to do anything with my money outside of me. I much rather feel more comfortable and have more faith in me. If I don't know about it, I learn about it, I read about it, I research about it, become familiar about that area, then I feel comfortable enough to invest. And I may start off a little bit or a lot, but gourmet ramen. Nah, man, you like the Master P noodles that taste like those just taste like old gym socks with mad sodium in them. But yeah, yo, don't if your investor learned how to invest in prison, that's probably not a good thing. You probably want to look out for that. Yo, that's it for this video. Uh Ramen sound real good. Hey man, I got ramen down there. I don't got like ramen. I got like the individual ramen in the bowl with like it has like the Mandarin words written on it. That's the ramen I got. But I can't. I'm old, man. I can only eat like one of those things a week. If I eat more than two things of that during a week, all that goddamn sodium, my head explode in this joint. I can't be doing it, man. But my son can eat all that shit all the damn time, but I can't do it. Yo, last thing before I go, I don't know if y'all remember. I did a video where I wanted my kids to buy their first stock. And so what I told them to do was, I was like, yo, let's walk around the house and see what we got in the house that we could invest in. It was real simple. That's the easiest way to invest. Walk around your damn house, see what company you have a lot of their products, and chances are that's probably a good company to invest in. So we went downstairs, opened up the cabinet, ketchup, mustard, nasty ass Lunchables. Everything that was in there was made by Kraft Heinz. And I said, you know what? Y'all should invest and get some shares of Kraft Heinz. So their first stock that they picked, single stock, was investment in Kraft Heinz. And I just saw on the news, Kraft Heinz about their stock. I don't know. Hey, I'm not telling y'all what to invest in. I'm just reporting the news. Kraft Heinz is about to get a contract with various school districts throughout the United States to serve Lunchables at lunch. Ain't that's crazy? I was like, they gonna serve Lunchables at lunch, and the government is paying Kraft Heinz for these Lunchables to serve the students. How did this come about? Well, apparently these school districts were saying that the kids don't eat these lunches, blah, blah, blah. Now, Lunchables have about the nutritional value of a Twinkie. Maybe not as bad as a Twinkie, but it's pretty bad. But Lunchables didn't meet the nutritional requirements to be served at school. So what did Kraft Heinz do? Like, like any company would, they increased the protein, they increased the they increased the protein, and they also increased the fiber. They increased the protein, they increased the fiber, so that now Lunchables meet the health requirements to be served in local school districts. So schools are about to start contracting with Kraft Heinz to serve their student Lunchables. Now here's where it gets weird, right? The Lunchables you buy in the store are probably healthier than the Lunchables that are going to be served at school. Well, DFD, you just said that they increased the fiber and the protein in the Lunchables at school. Yep, they did. They increased the fiber and the protein so these Lunchables can be given at school. But by doing that, they increased the sodium by something crazy like 200 or 300 grams. It's something wow. It's like, I don't know if it's 200 or 300 grams, but it's an excessive difference. And I don't know. I think that's wild that Lunchables are being served in school. Like, I don't know. That's crazy as hell. But craft, if this catches on, I'm interested to see what the first few states are that's going to be implementing this. But they're in talks to enter into a contract to start giving out Lunchables at school. That's crazy. My son had me rolling. He was like, all they did was put an extra 2 pepperonis on the pizza, and they put an extra cracker and slice of cheese in there to get those nutritional value up. But yo, when it comes to investing, it's really not hard. You can keep things simple. If you use it, if you know a lot of family members who use it, it's probably something that could potentially be lucrative. But there's a lot of mechanisms to do research, and I'll link in the description a video on stock investment 101. Look at the basic things, PE ratios, and how to what the hell all that crap mean, how to look at it, and how to use that to your advantage so you can have the semblance to know what you're doing. Hey, just FYI too, I'm not gonna sell y'all a course, okay? I wouldn't sell y'all a course. I would only It's only one course that DFD would ever consider selling, and I don't have the experience to sell it. Like if I woke up tomorrow, I'll tell y'all right now, if I woke up tomorrow and I was like, man, I looked at my YouTube channel and I had like 100,000 subscribers. Oh man, I'm coming out with a course or hey, how to grow up a YouTube channel. Rule number one: keep making videos no matter how terrible they are. but like that's the only course. That's the only course that I could see like a Jay Morrison or him 500 really selling that they actually had experience and I could think off the top of my head, oh, they know how to do this. Social media marketing. If they came out with a damn course on social media marketing, that would make perfect sense. How about an apple? Man, kids don't want to eat that though. Kids like, man, these kids are terrible. Like, yo, my daughter eats everything, so she makes me proud because no matter she loves my cooking because I'm like Chef Boyard, and that Chef Boyardee he white. I'm like I don't know, a good ass chef. Okay, we'll just say Gordon Ramsay. I'm the black Gordon Ramsay up in this household, right? But kids don't eat nothing. Like my son, if he don't eat if I if no one makes specifically what he wants, he'll just like either not eat, order food, or like if it is the Lunchable in there, he gonna go in there and eat it. I'd be like, man, this dude bones gonna be thin as hell. This dude bones gonna be thin as hell, man. But that's just how it is. And what is parents supposed to do? Like I know parents aren't like making kids 2 or 3 different things. Like my daughter actually saw a lunchbox. My guy Wolverine put me onto this. The lunchbox that you could plug up and warm your stuff up. They actually got a lunchbox that it has like a wireless battery pack, right? And you put that in the lunchbox and there's a timer. So if my daughter eat at noon, I could put her food in there, set that thing to start warming up at 11 o'clock. And by noon, the food is piping hot. Like, yo, my daughter gonna capitalize on that because she'd be eating collard greens and macaroni and cheese and stuffed peppers and chicken and rice. She'll eat whatever we ate for dinner because she likes to eat. My son, on the other hand, all right, I'm back. Sorry about that. But this dude won't eat anything. He can some days he'll be like, I ain't want nothing for breakfast. I didn't like the lunch. And then he come home and what did he do? He go raid the kitchen. But he not getting dinner because dinner not ready. He just eating bullshit. So, hey, when all his damn teeth fall out and he had kidney stones, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm like, dude, you need to drink some water, man. Stop drinking juice. And I'm gonna blame my wife because I tell her, yo, stop buying that shit, okay? Like if this dude always want to eat junk, stop buying junk. Like me, I know if I got junk in the house, I eat it. So I buy like healthy ass snacks like dry fruit, dry strawberries, dry pineapple, dry papayas, oranges, bananas, yogurt. I buy all of that stuff because if I don't got nothing healthy to snack on, I mean this young eating gummies and Oreos and all sorts of BS. And then DFD gonna have to start a fitness channel when I'm trying to lose weight. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. You need to sell a course for about $2,000. That's how it be too. Cause I look at these courses when they drop the course be like $2,000. Then like on like I don't know, like the day before Christmas, they like, yo, we having a sale bonanza. Anytime somebody say sale bonanza, it's sus. We having a sale bonanza. Right now you can get this course for $29.99. Like, yeah, all those courses are the equivalent of the commercials that come on at 1 in the morning with a guy screaming at you, like the Sham Wow guy. And I think the Sham Wow, you know the thing. You remember that device? It was like a little napkin that could pick up like a pound of water, a gallon of water. Yeah, all these dudes' courses are straight infomercials, but they make bread, man. It's crazy. I paid for a YouTube course though. I paid like I think it was like $249, $250. But yo, I thought that course was dope. And I actually learned I learned some stuff from it. So yeah, I got the most subscribers and yeah, I made the most ever I've made on YouTube. Man, literally like after I took that course, let's see, two, three, five. I was making like no money on YouTube, but my annual YouTube revenue increased by like times five. Which, hey, that's a good deal. It paid for the course. It more than paid for the course. But yeah, my average YouTube revenue increased times five. And I actually did a review on that course. Because if it was trash, I'd have dogged this course. I don't care. Shout out to Dorian at group 82. Luckily his shit luckily that course was good because it was trash. I'd have been on here talking about how trash it was, and I would have added him. I'd have been like at Dorian Group 82. This course is some straight boo boo, but nah, it was actually a good course. And courses are good. You just gotta know, like I'm not buying a YouTube. Why would I like if somebody bought a YouTube course from me right now? They stupid. You might as well just go ahead and just cash at me your money off rip. Like you need to be able to see some tangible results. Like I'm not gonna buy a course from somebody in real estate and I can't confirm or deny that they got any damn properties. I think that's just making it crazy. Man, I looked into the lead. My homegirl is in the lead attorney course, right? And she said it's actually a good course, man. She said it's a good course. And his course is geared towards live. I don't know, that'd be dope. I want to start like a once every 2 weeks, just a group of lawyers just get on and talk about random ass subject. So like anytime I get on this new segment I got, like y'all know what a sidebar is. Like I thought this was dope. So this is like the very first episode of sidebar. So sidebar is during trial you having a trial and the lawyers got something we need to talk about with the judge, but we don't need everybody hearing. So we like, hey, Your Honor, may I approach? We approach, judge turn his microphone off, and we go up there and we just talk. We be like, you know what, this dude crazy as hell. We talk about whatever it is outside of the earshot of everybody. The clerks don't know, just the judge and the lawyers. So we just all gather up. So I thought that would be a good name for these series where I'm just giving my take on things of my attorney perspective. Sidebar. Y'all coming up with me. We're going to talk about all the stuff that the lawyers and the judge will talk about that the normal folks don't know about. So, yeah, that lead attorney course, I get it. He need to put out another coupon code, though. He put out another coupon code. Hey, lead attorney, you put out another coupon code. Your boy going to jump on it. I got you. I go ahead. Pause. Your boy's going to sign up for the course. Yep. Yo, that's it for this video, man. I'm about to jump off here. Y'all take care. Tune in tomorrow. We're going to talk about Dame Dash and how he said he gave a certain classification for the type of broke he is. I don't know if there's I don't know if it's a rich broke or bougie broke, but last I checked, broke is broke no matter how you slice it or dice it. Y'all take care. Have a good evening. Peace.